Like it or not, it's finally here. Winter weather in Wisconsin. Hello, I'm First Alert Chief Meteorologist Steve Baylon.
And I'm First Alert Severe Weather Specialist Brad Spackus. You know, winter is very polarizing. The cold, the wind, and of course all of the snow.
And while the snow can be dangerous for drivers, it's also a beautiful thing for those who enjoy outdoor activities like hunting, skiing, and snowmobiling.
Whether you love it or hate it, we all have to prepare for it. And we all need to be weather ready for Wisconsin's winter weather. That's why we're proud to bring you tonight's First Alert Winter Weather Special.
Our team of experienced meteorologists understand how winter weather impacts your daily life, and we'll be the first to alert you and your family when it does. Let's get to it.
Well, as luck would have it, winter's here early this year, so this is probably a good opportunity to refresh ourselves on the various winter precipitation events, what they mean, things like watches, warnings, and advisories. And also I want to introduce you to a new warning that you might not yet have heard of, but you likely will this winter. But first, let's begin with the winter weather advisory. A winter weather advisory is the most common type of advisory in the cold weather months. They're designed to help you prepare and manage small but impactful weather events. A winter storm watch is typically issued a few days in advance of an expected major winter storm. During this period, stay informed as the storm approaches. As certainty of a significant snow or ice event increases, a winter storm warning is issued. Adjust travel plans since travel is not recommended. Occasionally, a blizzard warning may be necessary. That's when snow and wind creates near zero visibility and treacherous or impossible travel. And now on to that other warning I was talking about. It's been around for a while, but we haven't had many of them here until last year. I'm talking about a snow squall warning. A snow squall warning is issued for an intense downburst of snow accompanied by strong blustery winds. The result is a sudden onset of poor visibility and slippery roads. So snow squall warning should not be taken lightly because travel will be impacted.
Whether we're expecting severe storms or accumulating snow, whenever the weather becomes active, the WBAY First Alert Weather app can help keep you and your family safe and informed. Here's meteorologist David Ernst with more tips on how to get the most out of our First Alert Weather app.
Our First Alert Weather app isn't going to do you much good if you don't tell the app where you are. To do this, you'll want to tap the left edge of your screen and swipe to the right. What that does is open up the location menu for the app. Once this is open, if your GPS is turned on, you can simply press follow me, and the app literally does that. It just follows your GPS settings and adjusts the conditions and forecast for that location. But you can type in a new city in the search bar, or if you've already selected a city in the past, it should be on the list here. Your current location is highlighted in red, but as soon as you tap a new location on the list, your app will automatically adjust to the current conditions and forecast for that particular city. You can also make changes within this menu by tapping the three little dots to the right of any one of these locations. When you do that, it will bring up another menu from the bottom of the screen. This will allow you to delete that place altogether. You can give it a nickname, or you can also turn the alerts on and off for a given location. But our WBAY First Alert Weather app also allows you to change those notifications which are pushed to your phone. To do this, you'll want to tap the three little bars there at the top. Those are the settings bars, and when the new menu pops open, tap settings once more, and this will allow you to do things like change from degrees Fahrenheit to Celsius, kilometers per hour, miles per hour, but you've also got the WBAY alerts on there. I'd recommend keeping that on as it will give you push notifications sent directly from the meteorologist in the First Alert Weather Center. But the weather notification types will allow you to turn some of the automated alerts off and on. Now, I'd recommend keeping severe alerts turned on as well as the winter products, but there may be a few other products in here you'd like to turn off just so your phone doesn't go off when they're issued. One last recommendation I would make, though, is keeping lightning alerts turned on, as your phone will notify you when lightning is within a few miles of your given location.
It seems like almost every winter, certain buzzwords and phrases become very popular in the national news and in social media. Sometimes they generate so much hype that many people don't even know what they mean. For example, what exactly is the polar vortex? The polar vortex is a large area of low pressure and cold air that surrounds the North Pole. There's also a polar vortex that hovers over the South Pole. The polar vortex is always there, even during the summer. But during the winter, the vortex's counterclockwise flow of chilly air often expands, sending Arctic air southward through North America. This is normal. A polar vortex is nothing new. The polar vortex is also something that does not happen at the Earth's surface. It's a weather maker carved out by the jet stream aloft in our atmosphere. So just because you feel very cold there during the winter, that doesn't mean that you're feeling the polar vortex. And what exactly is a bomb cyclone? The term may sound scary for some people watching the national news, but a bomb cyclone is a slang weather term for a storm system that becomes much stronger over a short period of time. If an area of low pressure quickly drops at least 24 millibars over 24 hours, meteorologists say that weather maker is going through bombogenesis. Bomb cyclones often intensify from the power they gain over a body of water, like the Atlantic Ocean, for example. However, it is possible for a winter storm over the Great Lakes or the Midwest to go through so-called explosive growth in such a short period of time. You can be sure that our First Alert weather team will let you know well in advance when winter storms will threaten our area. Coming up in our First Alert Weather Winter Preview, would you be prepared if you got stranded in your car during a snowstorm? We'll help you get ready. And you should see what Viper Max can do this winter. It doesn't take too much to lose control of your car during the winter, and your slippery morning and evening drive becomes even more dangerous when the roads get busy. WBAY was the first and is still the best station to get details on your morning commute with First Alert traffic.
We want to be the first to alert you.
Catherine Bracho keeps a sharp eye on changing road conditions, crash reports, and live traffic cameras, so you get to go where you're going on time. And Catherine is the first to send out alerts right to your phone or tablet, letting you know about crashes and how you can find those alternate routes. Now is the time when we all need to start changing our driving habits.
Winter is the toughest time to drive in Northeast Wisconsin, but you still need to get where you're going safely. You're in the car, maybe your kids are in the car. So with First Alert Traffic, we want to get you the information that you need to make your drive safer. Or if there's an area where you need to avoid or go around, we'll let you know the best route to do that.
First Alert Traffic, only on Action 2 News this morning.
We as meteorologists urge you to bring your winter emergency kit with you, especially when we're heading into a big snow event. But what goes into a winter emergency kit? Come on, I'll show you what I've got in my car. So these are all of the things I keep in my winter kit in my car. The first one is the shovel. This one's expandable. It can really help you when you want to shovel some things out. Obviously, I can't get through a whole snowdrift with a small shovel like this, but it can help you in smaller situations. Then I like to have an old pair of winter boots, hat, mittens, scarf, a spare pair of socks. Non-perishable food items are also important, things that won't go bad over the winter, and of course, a bottle of water. Kitty litter can actually help you out if you're not getting any traction. Maybe you're on something that's pretty icy. You can put a little kitty litter down. It will help you gain the traction that you need. Of course, one of the other important things is jumper cables. It can start your battery, especially when we get those frigid temperatures and your battery may go out. If you do get stuck and it's cold, obviously you want to have something to keep you warm, so that's where your sleeping bag can come in handy. And of course the last, and I would say probably one of the most important things, is your ice scraper. Not only do you want a scraper, you want a brush so you can brush off some of the heavier snow. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people using something like a credit card to try to get the snow off the car. This is just so much more efficient. These are all of the things I keep in the car in the winter, but of course you want to keep these in addition to the things you keep in your all-season kit. For the full list, go to WBAY.com.
In the First Alert Weather Center, we're always adding new technology to keep you informed of changing weather so you know what to expect. One of the newest tools we have is First Alert Viper Max. This state-of-the-art system uses improved algorithms to better show areas of rain, snow, and mix. We have access to the newly upgraded Barron weather model, something none of our competitors have. This gives us the ability to show data you won't see anywhere else, including snowfall estimates as well as current and future road temperatures. The new road temperature forecast allows us to better pinpoint when snow is more likely to stick when it arrives after a period of milder weather.
Coming up in our First Alert Winter Weather Preview, our weather team makes predictions about how cold and how snowy it's going to be this winter. Stay tuned.
It's about time we brought the whole First Alert weather team up to the desk here to talk about this upcoming winter, which has started a little bit early. But we all saw the forecasts that came out in October from NOAA. And first of all, what did we see? And what is our impressions of it? Brad.
Well, their official forecast, they felt as though temperatures could go either way. Maybe warmer than average, maybe colder than average, maybe near normal temperatures. They were very explicit in saying it's going to be wetter than average, not only here, but across much of the upper Midwest. So that's where they stand.
So that's in regards to temperatures, but a lot of people want to know about the snow. And we did see a certain pattern with the snowfall. What do you guys think about it? Who wants to jump in here?
Well, I guess I'll just start us out and say, I have seen the wet pattern that we've been engaged in really since last fall. It just has continued throughout the year, and I don't really see any reason why that would change. So I think that they're probably on track with the wetter than average winter, and certainly we have seen the wetter than average start. So I would fully expect that trend to continue.
So because this has been the wettest year ever for Green Bay, much of northeast Wisconsin, you're thinking status quo as we go into the winter time.
Yeah, I'm always of the mind that things will continue to go on and on as they were until there's a sign of a big change. And so until we really see that pattern shift up, I see no reason to suspect otherwise, that we're going to continue in this wet fashion until we finally get ourselves into a dry stretch.
So when NOAA is coming up with this forecast, they obviously have reasons for their belief on above and below normal snowfall and temperatures. And part of that is the lack of El Nino and La Nina.
That's true. This year, the CPC has noticed that there's neither. So you're in a end zone neutral, so you don't have La Nina or El Nino. And for our area here in Wisconsin, that tends to mean that we'll have colder temperatures. So going along with that, the colder temperatures, not only, of course, the chance for greater amounts of snow. Now, if we had below average temperatures, that means probably more snow. But above average temperatures would mean that in a wetter year, we might end up with more of those rain, snow, or even icy events. So it's looking like with the colder temperatures and the wetter year, we'll probably end up with higher snowfall totals here this winter.
Now, one thing that we are not seeing is the warming or cooling of the water in the equatorial Pacific. But one place where it is warming up is the northern Pacific, the Gulf of Alaska, what some meteorologists are calling the blob. High pressure aloft, keeping the winds light, not a lot of mixing at the surface of the northern Pacific, and temperatures have been very balmy in Alaska. And what's happening is that high pressure ridge in the northern Pacific is helping to create more troughiness downstream in North America. Doesn't that kind of give you some alarm bells on what's possibly going to happen if that blob stays warm in the northern Pacific?
Listen, I think it's been interesting the way that our weather this year made a very abrupt shift in mid-October, where we did not ease into winter. It did not unfold gradually. It was like somebody flipped a switch, and we've been stuck here. There have been a few days where we've tried to warm out of it, but it just has not been persistent. And I agree with both of you in this respect. I think that, yes, it's going to be a colder winter, and I think it's definitely going to be snowier than average. And first of all, in all fairness, who wouldn't say it's going to be snowier when we have two back-to-back record wet years? And as you mentioned, David, it's more of the persistence of the weather pattern, and I just see it going on and on.
Something else to consider is that out of the gate, we have been pacing very quickly with snowfall. Now, through the 10th of this month, we have been at 9.3 inches of snow. We've tacked on a little bit more since then, but it was the third snowiest start to our fall/winter season. If you look at the top 5, including this year, the other 4 all ended up above normal for snowfall. 51.4 inches is the benchmark. That's a normal winter for Green Bay and a good chunk of northeast Wisconsin. And they all ended up above that. Interestingly enough, number 1 on the list back in 1896 started through November 10th with 17.4 inches of snow, ended up with 56.9, which is a little bit above, not drastically, so winter did slow down. Number 2 on the list, 13.3 inches of snow. That one is the granddaddy of them all. They got up to 143.7 inches of snow. I don't think you guys are expecting quite that much snow, are you?
No.
I would hope not.
One of the other things about a snowy winter, because I think the thing that would make it a little bit more palatable is if it comes in rounds of 3 or 4 inches here, 3 or 4 inches there, where you can manage it. You can still navigate through it. It's not that difficult to move. But if we get a number of repeated 6 to 8 inch snowfall events where it really wears on you quickly, I think that's what we have to look for.
I think we're going to see a lot of those because we're talking about that blob of warm northern Pacific water, the high pressure aloft, helping to cause that low pressure trough downstream. You know, we talk about the polar vortex and all those cold waves. You know, if you look at NOAA's forecast where above normal precipitation is expected, look at that swath of precipitation, northern Rockies down towards the lower Great Lakes. Does that scream Alberta Clipper to you? I think we're going to see a whole parade of those. Usually those aren't enormous snow events. 3, 4, maybe 5 inches of snow. I think you're onto something there, Brad.
Well, we'll see.
Last year kind of went in that fashion too, that we didn't really have any one big event or anything like that. It was just rather persistent. Every couple of days we would add another 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 inches on top. So we didn't have that big blizzard like we may have had a couple Aprils ago. Rather, it was just one system after another. We just didn't get a break. Now, this may just be me talking, but I honestly would prefer to see a few bigger ones and actually get a break from the just constant stream of snowstorm after snowstorm. But that's probably just my own personal opinion.
And I can see how a lot of folks would actually be excited for either way, whether we're getting a lot of big snow events or just a few little ones here and there. It's nice as a skier, as a snowboarder, cross-country skiing, snowmobiling, any of those outdoor things that you want to do, whether we're getting big events or small events. Sometimes those small events are nicer because then you get new snow refreshed every couple of times that you go.
I'm sorry, Steve, but what I was going to say is what's interesting, though, is that no matter whether you get big ones or little ones, however it plays out, if temperatures are colder than average, unlike recent winters where there was a lot of melting in between, where you never really had all that much snow on the ground, when you added it up at the end of the season, it was like, wow, we have that much. It's hard to believe.
It's astounding.
But this year, if it's colder than average, a lot of that may stay right through spring, so we'll have to wait and see there.
I think David's new snowblower is going to get a workout this year. Okay, so let's put this in perspective. 51.4 is the normal winter. Last year we got 74 inches. Do we dare say about how much? Maybe a range, maybe an exact amount. It's kind of hard to throw a dart at a dartboard and hit it right. I'm feeling like, since we've been trending up the past few years, I'm thinking something around 75 to 80 inches. That's just me. Of course, this is a very imperfect science, trying to figure out months in advance how much snow. Does anybody have any strong feelings either way, other than the fact that, yes, above normal?
I would agree with you. That's kind of where I put it in my own mind. I figured probably somewhere around 70, 75 inches. The last couple of winters have been above average. I think my first winter here, we had 67 inches, and then last year over 70. So I think that trend continues, and we do end up not only above average, but probably at least a foot or two above average.
Okay, so you're just a hair under me, but in the same ballpark.
Yeah, and I was going about 15 to 20 inches above our average snowfall at 51.4. So I think we're all kind of in the same ballpark.
If I had to give it a low number, I would say 83 inches.
Oh boy, wow.
Yeah. We'll see.
We'll see. And again, you know what? It's impossible to know for sure. It's a very imperfect science trying to forecast that far in advance, but that's kind of how it's leaning right now. Hey, we got a couple of questions on Facebook from some nice viewers like you who wanted to know a bit about the winter. Lori Ford Meyer wants to know, is wind chill only a problem for humans, or can other animals and living things have a problem with it too?
I mean, they can definitely feel it, especially your animals. If you have a dog, you keep them outside during the day. They can feel it, but they don't feel it the same. They have fur. The wind chill formula is formulated only for humans. So it's not that they can't feel it. They, of course, can. They have body heat. They're radiating their body heat. The way it works is that the wind chill, of course, is blowing that body heat away from the body, and you're not able to keep as warm. But in the case of a dog or other animals like deer or birds, they have fur, they have feathers to help keep them warmer, and they're meant to be outside, except for, of course, some of the house dogs. You want to bring those inside when it's nice and cold.
And you definitely don't want to see the math problem that meteorologists came up with to figure out that whole wind chill thing. Anyway, Sue Constantino wants to know, is it true that if we get more snowfall, that we get more snowfall when the wind is out of an easterly direction? Any truth to that?
Well, first of all, as any area of low pressure approaches at some point in time, typically you get an east wind. So that's just the nature of an area of low pressure. Second of all, if there is going to be any additional enhancement there, I would think it would be along the lake shore,
Yep.
you know, coming in off of Lake Michigan. But typically there, a northeast wind is a little bit better than an east wind because the fetch is lined up a little bit longer so you can pick up more water as the air moves across it.
And there's been times and times again we've seen storm systems come to the region and we're north of that warm front, a key spot to get some snow. Guess what? You usually have an east wind. So obviously we are thinking about the winter just like you guys are at home. We are thinking it's going to be snowier than normal with some intrusions of polar air. It may not be Arctic air the whole way, but it's definitely looking like it's going to be chilly between now and the end of our long Wisconsin winter. Coming up in our First Alert Weather winter preview, the science behind snow and choosing the perfect sled. And are those pesky mosquitoes really killed off during the winter?
Let's say we're deep into winter and there's plenty of snow on the ground and you want to take to the sledding hill, but before you go, let me help you out with a little insider knowledge on the physics of the perfect sled. Here's a hint. It's all about friction. Friction is the force we talk about in physics that causes a sled to slow down, or in the absence of friction, to go really fast. So if we've just received several inches of the white fluffy kind of snow, you want to opt for something like this, a snow tube. The reason is that these types of sleds float above the snow where the level of friction is pretty low, allowing you to reach maximum velocity. If, however, you've received sort of all the different types of snow, or maybe you just want one sled for everything, you're best off with something like this, a broad, flat-bottom sled, which will slide over the wet snow, as well as float above the fluffy snow, and of course it's great on ice, and it won't slow down too much due to friction. Now, most of the time, these old school sleds are just a little too slow, especially if you have the fluffy kind of snow. But sometimes when the snow is too deep, the friction will actually be so high that it might actually stop you midway down the hill. If, however, you have the hard-packed, icy conditions, lots of kids have already gone down the hill, you want this. Think of the luge in the Olympics.
Well, one good thing about winter, no mosquitoes, they're all dead.
Sorry, Brad, you're only half right.
What?
The males all die.
What?
But the females, well, in two different cases. Sometimes they lay their eggs in the water and then it freezes and then they're all set and ready to hatch come spring. Other females will craftily hide in hollow logs or rodent holes, even animal dens, and then re-emerge in spring, all set and ready to go.
It's just all wrong.
Winter is just starting in Wisconsin, and we all agree that it's going to be a snowy one. Thankfully, there's lots of ways that we'll be there for you.
If you'd like to review any of tonight's pieces, we have them ready for you. You can find them at our website. Go to WBAY.com/winterweather to see them again.
And don't forget, we'll be the first to alert you to harsh cold, wind, and snow on our WBAY First Alert Weather app. You can download it for free for your smartphone or tablet.
We're also alerting you to wintry weather on our WBAY Facebook pages, Instagram, and Twitter, so please like and follow our pages.
And of course, we're always keeping you up to date on First Alert Weather 24/7, channel 2.2.
All right, thanks for watching our First Alert Winter Weather Preview.